5, 5, 5, 4, 5.
Hey gang, you're rolling with rockin' Ricky Rialto, the voice of Kingston Falls, USA.
5, 5.
Hello everybody, it's Ravy GameGuru here today, not Lee Bamber again. He's got away with it for another week. I hope everyone is well, everyone's had a good week and everyone's been making fantastic games. So, what am I talking about today? Firstly, Star Wars, because I'm seeing it in 8 hours time. Yeah! Seeing it at midnight, first showing, so I'm really excited. So I'm watching Star Wars. Is anyone else seeing Star Wars today? Hope so. Anyway, GameGuru. So one thing that's been asked quite a bit on forums and support, etc., is things like how do I detect the player collecting so many coins, or how do I trigger off this being completed, and that kind of thing, which all comes down to quests really, and how to do a quest and how to detect when it's done, that kind of thing. So I've written an example to show that, and a little script. So I'll show you the example and then talk you through the script that's used. So let's load up the example. I've called this kill quests. It's basically similar to a lot of quests you get in MMOs and RPGs, where you've got an NPC that will want this group of people killed or these people got rid of, that kind of thing. So here's my little level. So let's go straight into test game. Emmys is seeing Star Wars on Monday. Excellent. Yeah, and Star Wars comes out a bit later in the States. Which is odd. I thought it would come out first there, but I'm not going to be complaining. I would have seen it 3 times by the weekend. I've got it booked 12 today, 12 tomorrow, and 12 Friday. So I hope it's not rubbish. Because I'll have a lot of wasted tickets otherwise. Anyway, so let's test game. Bum ba dum bum bum. So here we are. So it's kind of a medieval fantasy setting with guns. So yeah, you'll have to forgive me on that. So if we walk up this path here, we see there's a chap off to the left. As we walk up to him, he turns to face us, and if we're within range, he'll keep looking at us. And it says press E to talk. So let's talk to him. And he says, "Greetings, I am Bernard II of Lardtown, son of Bernard I of Potato. There are soldiers to the northeast bothering me. Please kill them for me. I will pay you well." And then we can either accept or decline. We've got the button. And we've got a little mouse pointer, actually a very big mouse pointer. And we can either accept or we can decline. So let's accept. So we said it's to the northeast, and we've got a little box that's popped up telling us we've got 3 targets that remain. So northeast is up here, so let's head up here, around the corner. There's some not so medieval looking soldiers that are shooting at me. You can see 2 targets remain now because I've taken one down. One target remains, and he's dead. And it now says return to quest giver, which is cool. I'll cover the decline thing in a sec. So now we head back to him and press E to talk. Thank you, you have done this land a great service. Now, about your reward. I'm afraid I may have slightly oversold the whole rewards thing. Sorry. So he's not going to give us anything. So then we click complete, and that's that quest done. So now if we just go up to him, there's nothing to do with him anymore. So let's carry on around the corner. Someone asked what happens if you decline. So there's another quest guy up here. So I'll decline his quest. There he is. So we press E to talk to him. Hello there, adventurer. I am Boris, brother of Bernard II. I'm heading west, but some nasty looking zombies block my path. You look like you could take care of them. Would you help me? Absolutely not. So we'll decline. So we can walk away from him, or we can stay there. And we can just press E, and he'll offer us the quest again. Or we can decline it again. But we'll take it this time. Yes, we will kill the zombies for you. Can you shoot the wizard? Yeah, yeah, you can do it. I've given them lots of health, like 10,000 health or something. So if you stood there for 10 minutes shooting them, they would die. But yeah, you can kill them because he did stitch you up, that first guy. So we can see we've got 4 targets remaining, and to the north is up. I think it's to the north. It's up here anyway. Here are some very nasty zombies. 3 targets remaining. 2 targets. 1 target. No targets! Return to quest giver. So press E to talk to him. You have my eternal thanks for your bravery. If I had any money, I would certainly pay you well. Unfortunately, all I can offer is my thanks. Farewell. So Bernard and his brother Boris are obviously not the most generous of chaps, but so that is in essence how it works. And if I run it again, just to see what happens if I don't do things in the ideal way. Stop clowning around. Yeah. Right, so here's Bernard, but we're going to ignore Bernard, and we're going to go and kill these guys without a quest. Right, so they're dead. So now we're going to go and speak to Bernard, who's going to give us a quest to kill these guys, but we've already killed them. So, greetings, I'm Bernard, and we've seen all that. Please kill them, I will pay you well. So we'll accept his quest, and then it immediately tells us to return to the quest giver because we've already killed them. And he says, "Thank you, you've done this land a great service." So what we could have done, I mean, I didn't bother with this example, but what we could have done is detect whether those guys are already dead, and rather than him say, I'm bothered by these guys, we could have got him to say, "Oh, you've killed the guys," and perhaps gone to this end bit. But I didn't do that. But you can see it doesn't break it. That's the good thing. Is if you kill those guys already, it doesn't actually bust it. If we just run it one more time. Yeah, what Synchromesh says, yeah, that's one thing I was going to do, but I just run out of time, which is a very good idea. Particularly if you've got lots of quests and you want specific setups and you don't want to run into the wrong guys, you could assign all those guys to one group, and then spawn them all in when you accept the quest. So if you've not accepted the quest, there isn't anyone there to shoot. But as soon as you accept the quest, you spawn in those guys. That would keep it nice and neat, and meant if you had 50 quests around, you're never going to run into the wrong guys or get confused, because it'll always spawn what you need for that particular thing. Plus, that quest may be, can you go up this path, kill these guys, and follow on, kill another set of guys, go into a castle and kill this guy, then go back and hand in the quest. So it'd be really cool if they all spawned in once you've accepted it. So we've got that if used flag. We could just name the groups. We could name. Oh, actually, I'll show you in a minute rather than spelt on. So let's in fact let's go to the second guy and get his quest. You see, I talk to him, pick up his quest, then he doesn't offer me anything until I've done what he wants me to do, and I can't communicate with him anymore. And also, if I go to Bernard, because I'm already on a quest, he's not interested in talking to me either. So there's no. The good thing is there's no way to really break it. If you kill the people that you meant to beforehand, it still counts, and you can't pick up 2 quests and get all confused. So let's look at the code. First, if I just add another quest in, that will show you how easy it is adding it. So we've got this little bit up here. So we've got the two brothers, Boris and Bernard. So let's flip the tables on that, and let's put another 2 of them up there, and let's have the zombie give us the quest this time. He can be there. So these wizards aren't going to give me much opposition really, but just for fun. So zombie obviously normally is going to attack you, so we'll just go to properties, and just so I don't blow him to pieces by mistake, I'll just give him some extra health, and I'll get rid of his script because I don't need him to do anything. So how do we get this into the script? So what we're going to do first is just make a note of what numbers they are. So if we go in here, just make a new little thing, and then if we highlight him, we can see at the bottom he is entity 127. So 127, that's the guy that we want to be giving the quest. So 127, and then chances are the other 2 guys are similar numbers, 125 and 126 I should think. 125, 126, there we go. One, 2, 6. So they're the ones that we want. So if we go into the script and see how that works, we can see this bit. I'll explain it all in a minute, but this is the bit that adds in the quest. You can see it's just a few lines. So we can copy. We've got 2 guys, so let's just copy this bit. I've completely forgotten those numbers already. Actually, it was on here. It's 127, 125, 126. So 127, 125, and 126. And what this does, I've got new quest, which lets us know who's the guy that's going to be the person that's giving the quest. Who's the quest giver? That's the ID of them. Then we've got 3 bits of text, which is the giving the quest, and then we've got 3 bits of text, which is finishing the quest. And then add quest target. As you can add, I've set it I think to 10. I've got the maximum. I've set to maximum targets 10, but it could be anything. It could be 100 if you want. But we've added 2. But you can add up to 10 targets there, unless you change that number. You can add as many as you like. But you can just add them 1 at a time. Saying new quest gives you a quest ID back, and then you can pass that in saying add to this quest this number, and that will then add them as a target that counts towards completing that quest. So let's put some text in. Hello, please kill the annoying wizard guys. I'm just a zombie who is hungry. That's the second line. And third line, I might start rules. There we go. So then we've got the 3 bits of text that is going to say when the quest is complete. Thank you. Those guys were very annoying. Now I can go kill everyone in the town. Merry Christmas. So that should be it. And then we've added so we've added the quest giver, that's a zombie. We've added the 2 targets. So we just save that and then run it. We just save this as well, just to be safe. Yeah, good idea from Keith. Should be able to have multiple quests at one time, which we've got. There's no reason why we couldn't, because then, assuming they're going to be different targets anyway, they're not exclusively need to complete one at a time. So we could throw up all the quests up at once and just allow you to pick up as many as you like, and just, I guess with the limit you can maybe say you can have 5 quests at once or something, just so you can display them all on screen. But yeah, there's no reason why you can't. Just to keep it simple, I've kept it to 1 quest at a time. But yeah, there's no reason. You could easily change this code to deal with more. So we've got Bernard, so we're not going to bother with his quest. Then we've got Boris, we're not going to bother with his quest either. And then we've got the clown, somewhere up here, miles away. There it is. That's probably the first time I've spoken to a zombie in this game. So press E to talk. Hello, please kill the annoying wizard, guys. I'm just a zombie who is hungry. I like Star Wars, so we'll accept that. And there's 2 targets remaining, which is the 2 guys. Return to quest giver. Need to talk. Thank you, those guys are really annoying. Now I can go kill everyone in the town. Merry Christmas. So you can see, nice and easy. Nice and easy. Once it's in place, just a couple of lines and you've got more quests. So you can have as many as you like. And as Keith said, if you change it to show more than 1 quest, you could also have 1 quest that leads to another quest, you know, like a string of quests. So anyway, let's go through it and just see how it's created. First, a couple of arrays, which are the quests themselves, just an array, and quest targets, which are another array. The targets are the people that you need to kill to complete the quest. Then I've got quest counter, which is set into 0. Lure always goes from 1 to however big the array is. You never start an array at 0. So it's a good idea. I always use 0 to check whether something exists, or check whether it's off. I always set it to 0. Then we've got maximum number of targets, which I use when adding them. But again, I've set it to 10. That could be anything. And you needn't have a limit really. Call it 1,000 if you want, because the arrays, Lure will just dynamically allocate them anyway. And we've got current quest, which is the one that we're on, which is set to 0 normally, meaning we're not on a quest, which is what I use to decide whether you can talk to another guy and pick up a quest or not. Then I've got the pointer image, pointer sprite, so I'm going to use them to store the image and sprite. Whether the mouse is on or not, because we switch the mouse on. And someone says my voice reminds them of Peter Molyneux, which I guess, is it good? I guess so. I've got more hair than him and far less money, but otherwise we're exactly the same. So, but yeah, pointer image, pointer sprite, mouse on. So whether we're currently using the mouse or not, because if we are, we want to move that mouse pointer on screen, a little sprite. And then, as I think I did this with the last script that I did, I've got have built quests and a quest build delay. And the reason why I've got that is I've added this into the, obviously as part of the game, and it's actually where is it now? Let's have a look. Over here, if we look right back over here, behind this house is a carefully hidden barrel, my green barrel that I always use. And if we go to properties for that, that's got the kill quests script in it, and it's set to always active, so however far you're away it's always going to work. So I could have attached that to something else, but I always use a green barrel for some reason. So that's where the script is. But the reason I'm showing you this is I may have added this object first, or I may have added it halfway through adding all my other objects. Like we know, I've only just added the zombie and the 2 wizards. So if I scan through, initially scan through and try and pick up all those objects, it will fail because those objects don't exist, because this one was created before they ever existed. So I've got a little delay in there that says, so I can wait at least one cycle, because if the game has updated one frame, then I know that every object has been created. So that's what I'm doing. So I was just reading on the text, someone's got major video lag. Anyone know a solution? Unfortunately not. I tried closing it and reopening it, that's what I normally do. But so anyway, let's go on to kill quests. So kill quests in it doesn't really do too much. It just creates the sprite that we're going to use as a mouse pointer. So we're just loading in an image, creating a sprite for it, sizing it and offsetting it. And I've just offset it so the finger that points up is the kind of center of origin. So wherever you place that, then that'll activate it. Then if we look in the main, well, I just explained about waiting. We can say, have we built the quests? Because if we're going to wait one cycle, we can't do this in the init function. Ideally we would do it in the init function, but because we need to wait and ensure that every object has been created, because we're going to be adding things in as targets, etc., we don't want to be doing that until we've at least had one cycle of the game. So it's going to check, have we built the quests? And then it's obviously going to be 0 at first. So then it's going to add 1 to quest delay. And then if quest delay is greater than 1, so in other words it has been round the whole cycle at least once, which in fact it's obviously it's going to be twice, it's going to go around, then it adds all the quests in. So does quest equals new quest, because new quest will return the ID, and then we want to pass in the quest giver as ID, the text that we want with it, and then we can add quest targets, which are the ones that we want to kill. So we just do that, and we're only going to do that once, because once we've done that, we're setting have built quests to 1, so it's only ever going to do that once. So nice and easy. Then we're checking if mouse is on, which is set to 0 initially. If it is set to 1, then we're going to position it at the global mouse X and mouse Y position. And if it's not, we're just going to position it off screen instead. Then we're checking, have we got a quest? So is current quest greater than 0? It won't be initially, but if it is, then we'll check the quest, which is the function where we're checking whether we've done what we need to do for that particular quest. Then is the bulky bit, I guess, which is kind of split into 2. What we're checking here is some modes, and if we've got a current quest. Now let's have a look at the modes, because there's something I thought about beforehand, which I've put it up here. So the quest modes I thought we'd have is inactive, so that we've not spoken to that person yet. They can offer us the quest. So if we go and speak to them, the minute we press E to speak to them, it then changes that mode to offer, and they're offering us the quest. Then we can, from there, we can either accept it or decline it. So if we decline it, it'll just go set it back to inactive. So we can speak to them again and decline them again if we want, or accept it. If we do accept it, then it's going to switch to active, which means then we start tracking whether we've killed those targets or not. Once we have killed those targets, then it switched the mode to returning, which means we've got to return back to the person that gave us the quest. Once we've returned to them, we can press E to speak to them, which then counts as handing in, because we're handing back the quest, because we've done it. And once we've clicked OK, after we've read their blurb and got no money off of them, the quest then counts as complete. There's nothing more to do on it. So those are the different modes, and I've put them up there just to remind myself. Don't need that there. What these funny things are in Lua, that is a comment But if you want to do a comment block, so if you want to do more than one line, rather than putting the same thing on each line, you can just do that to start the block and that to end the block, which is nice. So anyway, back to where we were. So if current quest is 0, or the mode is returning, because they're the 2 times that we can talk to them, when we've not got the quest and we want to speak to them to pick it up, or when we've killed everyone and we want to return back and hand it back to them. They're the only 2 times we want to speak to them. And obviously when we are returning to them, the current quest is greater than 0, so it would be the actual quest that we're on. So if it's either of them modes, then it cycles through all the quests. So it does a for loop going from 1 to however many quests we've got. And then it's checking each one to see if they're inactive or if I'm returning, because they're the 2 instances where I can talk to the guy. So it's then checking whether we're within 100 units of the quest giver. If we are, then it prompts us with press E to talk. It rotates the quest giver round to us, and then we can switch it. If we've pressed E, we can switch it to offer. So these funny things here, where am I getting them from? So let's go back to when we're first adding the quest, and we're saying quest equals new quest. So let's check out new quest and see what that's all about. There we go. As you can see, it's pretty simple really. We're taking in all the parameters, the quest giver, and then the 6 lines of tests. So as soon as we come in here, we add 1 to the quest counter because it starts at 0, and then we're making sure, because we need an array to hold everything, we're setting quest counter, that particular one, we're creating an array for it. Then we're setting the mode, so we want to set the mode to inactive, which is the first one. Then we've got another field which is the giver. So the giver is the person that we want to give the quest. So that's the ID, which, if you remember, is the ID of the particular entity in the editor. And then we're just passing in all the texts. And then we're just returning the quest counter. So obviously that's the first quest you add is going to be quest 1, the next one quest 2, etc. So that's where we populate those. And then we're adding targets is the next one, add quest target, so which is just below. So there we've already got the quest ID, which we return from here, and we want to pass in that plus the target ID, so we're adding a person to the kill list. So again, we're checking if that quest, because we may have used this quest before, we may not, so we're just checking if it's nil. If it is, then we're adding an array, and obviously if it's not, we're just skipping that and carrying on. Then we're cycling through from 1 to max targets, and soon as we find one that's empty, we're adding that particular target ID in there, which is again is the entity number, and that's it. So it's just going to fill up that until it gets to the max targets. And as I said, I've set that to 10, but that could be 100 or whatever. You know, it might be an enormous, great long quest through a castle and a moat and across the plains and all sorts of things. You can set that to whatever you like, but I've just set that to 10. So if we skip back up there, now we know what those things are populated with. So if they press the E key, then we're checking if the mode is currently inactive, which it will be if you've never done a quest. Then we want to set the mode to offer, because we want the NPC to offer us the quest. If not, that means it will be set to returning, which is the other potential thing. You're returning back after killing everyone. Then we want to change the mode to handing in, which again is the NPC showing some text and giving us an option. So we're coming back down here now. So the next time it comes back round with that, it should then either be set to offer or handing in. So if it's offer, we're going to hide the HUDs. I'm going to set player weapons off, so we don't have the reticule in the middle of the screen. And then I'm drawing panels. So I don't know if you've come across these before, but that's those little boxes that come up on screen. You just need to call this panel command, and it's top left. That's the top left X, top left Y, bottom right X, bottom right I, Y rather. And then I'm doing similar to the text command, but this is text center on X, which means wherever you set the X, because we know this panel is drawn between 25 and 75. So we know if we center the text on 45, if we center the text on 50, we know it's going to be right in the middle. So that's all that does, and it also allows us to give a colour. So you can see we're printing text 1, text 2, text 3, which is the 3 text lines. So he's offering us the quest. Then a couple more panels, which are the buttons where you accept or decline. And all I'm doing, checking here, is whether the mouse is over one of these panels. Now the global mouse X and mouse Y do return, thankfully, in the percentage as well, because the panel is using a percentage system. So it's really easy to check whether we're over that panel or not, because we've got, if it's greater than 30 and less than 40, that's a cross, and then greater than 60, which is the start height, and less than 70, which is the end height, then we know we're over that box. And if we are, we'll do it a certain colour, so we're doing it yellow, and if it's not, we're doing it a darker yellow. So that's a really easy way of just making them light up, just giving a little bit of feedback to the user. And then we're doing the same for the decline, and obviously we're calling it we're doing this red and darker red. Now I've got this button over thing, you can see I've set it to 0, which means I'm not hovering over any. And then if we're on the accept, I can set button over to 1, and if we're on decline, I can set button over to 2. So that means if they click, which we're checking for down here, I instantly know which one they were over. So as soon as they click, we can show the HUDs again, because they're finished with the text. We can set player weapons back to active, and then we can say if button over is 1, then we can change the quest mode to active, so it's active now. And then we can deactivate the mouse, so we don't need the mouse pointer anymore. We put mouse on back to 0, because we don't need a little sprite anymore. If you remember up here, if it's set to 0, then it positions that sprite off screen. And then if we've selected it, as in we've accepted the quest, we want to set our current quest to the current one that we're looking at, C, because if you remember, we're going through a loop of all the quests, so C is going to hold the one that we're currently on. If button over is 2, we're going to change the mode to inactive, because it will currently be set to offer. So we set it back to inactive, again deactivate mouse and turn the mouse off, and that's it. So that's how we accept the quest. Handing in is extremely similar, because we're just doing pretty much the same thing. We're just showing a different set of lines, text 4, 5 and 6, and we've only got one button this time. We've just got the complete quest button, so we can just check whether button over is 1, and if it is, we can set the quest to complete, deactivate the mouse, put mouse on. So you can see that is it, pretty much. In essence, that block pretty much does it all. So then how do we check whether they've actually killed the people? So if you remember, we've added the targets, so we've got an array for that particular quest, which is holding all the entity IDs for the people that we need to kill. So we're checking the quests here, and we've got count equals 0. So what we're doing here is, let's check whether those guys on that list are alive. So we're going through 1 to the max number of targets that we've got. We're checking if that array index is nil, and if it's not, that's not equals in Lua. If it's not nil, then we can check whether the entity has got any health, and if the health is above 0, then we still need to kill them, so we can add 1 to count. So by the time we've gone through this loop, we've got all the information to show the player how many targets they've got. So we stick a panel on screen again, and then put the text in targets remain. So if count is 0, then we know they can return to the quest giver, because we've cycled through that and all the health was 0 of any targets, so count has never got added to. So if it's 0, we can return to quest giver, We can check whether, and then checking if this if the quest mode is currently active, which it will be if we're shooting them and we've killed them. Then we want to set it to returning. Then we can head back to the NPC. Or if not, we throw out the text saying how many targets are remaining. So this is how you concatenate text in Lua. So where rather than saying count plus targets remain, you just do the 2 dots. And that means exactly the same thing. So how many that are left, and that's how many targets remain. So that's all we need to do in the quest checking. And that is pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else that's done. I added a couple of functions that I never actually used, set active quest and set active quest mode, but considering it's only one line to change the mode, I didn't bother using those. So that is it. In a very small amount of lines. How many lines is that? Won't count those. 214 lines. You've got a basic quest system which you can use with any targets. And then how could you expand it from here? Well, what Keith said, we could, rather than say up here where we're saying if current quest is 0, we needn't have just current quests. We could have current quests and have it as an array, and we could just let the people add as many quests as they like, because that will grow anyway. And we could either show the first 5, or we could limit it to 5 active quests, or we could let people scroll through their quests. But there's no reason why it has to be 1 active quest at a time. And then the other thing that we mentioned about spawning in. Let's cancel out of here. Because ideally, although I can go and shoot the guys before picking up the quest and still reap the rewards, I might not want that to happen. I might want it so you have to pick up the quest and then the guys appear. So if we look at these guys, let's look at the properties for them. You can see that where we've got the name, we could call this quest 1, and we could call all 3 of these guys quest 1. Then if we go to our NPC Bernard, he's got a field called if used, and we could put quest 1 into there, and then in the Lua script we could call spawn if used, and we could call that within our accepting the quests. So once we've clicked accept, at that point, that's when those guys are spawned in, and then we can go kill them. That would be quite cool, because it means you could have some quite complex guys, and you could reuse the same piece of scenery again, the same bit, but have a different quest happening in there. So you can make some really nice things, reuse them, and have different circumstances happening, and maybe have a story progressing as more powerful enemies turn up, or just different circumstances why people are in that same area. So there's plenty of things you can do, and obviously you can also expand it to not just enemies, because at the moment it's just kill. We could have an additional field that says what type of target this is. Maybe it is 0 would mean it is a kill target, the same as it is now, but maybe 1 means you've got to collect it. So it might be someone that says, can you go and collect this key, and it's guarded by 10 zombies or something, and all you're concerned about with that quest is getting the key. So you'd probably kill the zombies still because they're in the way, but then you could collect the key, which again would trigger off the have I done what's needed for this quest. So hopefully, Richard again, Blake is saying, can I elaborate on multi-dimensional arrays a bit? Sure, certainly. So I'll guess what you mean by elaborate, and if it's not correct, let me know. But with Lua, the arrays are dynamic, and to define an array, you just need to put where you'd put variable equals 0 for a single variable. If that was going to be an array, you would just set it to that, and that just lets Lua know that is an array. But it is empty There's nothing there. So if you tried to access something, Lua would throw up an error saying that you're trying to access something that is nil value. And nil just means it's not been set. It's not going to be set to 0. It just means it is nothing. It's the same as null in C++ and other languages. It just means it's blank, because it should be pointing to something, but it's not. But if you've got multi-dimensional arrays, that's where it can be. It catches me out sometimes where I've got a multi-dimensional array and it's coming back. I get an error saying it's nil, and I think, well, it's not, because I've just set something. But let's look at these quests. So we've got quests here and we've got quests up here. So we know it's set to an array, but that would be quests 1. We could do that, and we could do then quests 2 equals 4, etc., or 40. That's fine, because we've already defined that as an array. But the problem arises when we want multi-dimensional arrays. So if we want 1, and then quite often for the second property, I like to use a name, just so it keeps it nice and easy to remember what it is. So if we wanted to say store health of this person, we would call that equals 100. Now that would throw up an error in Lua, because we've declared quests as an array, and you think, well, yeah, but this is an array, but this is a multi-dimensional array. So before we can do that, what we actually would need to do is to say that quests 1 is an array, because that's going to hold more than one item. So we do that. That would then make this line work, because now anything from quests 1 onwards is an array, because this is obviously an array. Where if we've just done quest 1 equals 5, that is fine on its own, that's fine. But the minute we add in another array in, we need to define that as an array as well. So if we look further down at my quest adding code, we can see where I've done that. So check quests, here we go, new quest. So new quest, and then this is the quest number. I know that that's going to hold more than one field, so I'm immediately declaring it as an array. So it means this as one whole now contains an array as well as quests, the container containing an array. So hopefully that makes sense. Retro, and hopefully that's what you meant. And again, with adding quest target, I'm doing the same thing, where they're going to be having 2 dimensions. So when I'm adding a new quest in, again, I've got to define that as an array. And often that always catches me out pretty much every single time. The main things I find with Lua is I always forget to type then, which I know LeoS does the same thing as well. I always put if blah 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 equals something, and then I forget to put then. And the second thing I always do is forget if I'm adding something, because you always think, well, I've already said this is an array, so why would I need to do it again? But that's all you need to do. So if you're adding another dimension, you just set that to an array as well, and that's it. If you follow that, and it would be the same for if you're adding a third, you'd have to do it the same thing. Define the third one as an array as well. Once you've done that, all is well. So that is it. If there's any further questions, please say. If anyone wants this example, so I've got obviously that FPM map, and obviously this script, which is hopefully been of use or interesting. It's fairly basic, but it does show you can add as many quests as you like with it. It's still, it's still of quite good use. You could add as many quests as you like, as many enemies as you like, and it would all work seamlessly. And you can expand it. So if anyone wants this, give me a shout, and I can upload it, or email me, ravy@thegamecreators.com, and I'll send it to you. But apart from that, next week probably Lee, maybe not. Who knows? If I'm not on next week, I think that's going to be the last one before Christmas. So I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and a great New Year. And I look forward to seeing you all next year. But if it is me again next week, then I'll see you next week. But in the meantime, have a fantastic time, a great Christmas. Make sure you watch Star Wars and take care, everyone. See you later.